Rolly, my old dog that sadly passed away in April, devastated me for a bit. Devastated me for a lot. And then a couple of months ago, somebody gifted me this little hound. Hello, this little hound. Hello, beautiful boy. Say hello. Hello. Yes. He's not always there. He's just sitting there tonight. Just sits and watches. There may be an issue with the sound tonight. My lapel mic, the Bluetooth USB dongle, has gone missing. I don't know why. It's plugged in a computer 24 hours a day. There's been, not gremlins. What do you call those things that come in the middle of the night and take them? It's not gremlins, is it? It's the answers in the comments. Also in the comments, somebody said, and I take it as a great compliment, how is your bench always so neat and tidy compared to other YouTube engineers? It's not, technically. I mean, we can go around the bench here and just and have a look. It isn't. You may think it is. I mean, I can't work in a mess. But I create a mess when I work, but I have a strict, look at me, strict. Okay. I have a little policy, which means the very next day, I come in and spend half an hour just putting every screwdriver, every pair of pliers, backlights, whatever it is, back in its place or in the bin. So sometimes, I mean, it's quite late at night, for instance. It's about 11 o'clock now. Well, 1 minute past 11. So I won't be finished in here tonight till 2 o'clock in the morning. By the time I've edited this, etc., etc. So there will be a mess, but I always come back the next day. I never tidy up the same night. Too tired. Always want a coffee. But that's by the by. We're talking about something else. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we're talking about this brand. And why are they always just so mediocre? Why are Philips just so mediocre? They're not as bad as Vestel, but they're not up there with the Panasonics, the LGs, and the Sonys, and the Samsungs. They're just not. And I would say they're just above Vestels, which is a shame, really, because there's one thing that Philips have got and have had for decades, which is far better than any other TV manufacturer. And that is style. They really do have style. They put a lot of time and trouble into the design of not just their TVs, but their hi-fis. The little radios. And even their games consoles. Yes, at one point Philips did games consoles, and they were very good at them as well. They did something called the CDI, but one thing Philips do, which is very bad, and I think this is the crux of it, why Philips are so bad, they're just not good enough at praising themselves, promoting themselves. Just before PlayStation, Philips did something called a CDI, and it was fantastic. Much better than the PlayStation at the time. But they very rarely promoted it, and they let Sony come in and do something which was just slightly better, but then Sony ran away with it. This is an old Philips TV. Now, when I say old, it is... I'll switch a few lights off here. Hopefully it's bright enough for you to see. This is about 5 or 6 years old, and I think it's another backlight job. But it's just so stylish. Just look at the way the base... It's all about the base. Look at the way the base kind of protrudes there. Protrudes? I don't know. Look how the screen goes right. There's no bezel. That's got to be the thinnest bezel I've ever seen. And bearing in mind this is, as I say, 5 or 6 year old TV, no bezel at the top. It just all fits in lovely. It's just a very good design. But when it comes to the software with Philips, never very good. The backlights are always a bit... Well, the backlights aren't too bad. Their boards are okay. There's just... Everything is just okay, apart from the design. The design of Philips TVs is better than... Well, I would say better than any other. Sony come a close second. But I just love this. I'm hoping to repair this, and I will keep this. It's also an Ambilight TV, which means it's got a bit of weight to it. It's got the Ambilights, the LEDs down the side, which I'm sure you're aware. It's not got many of them. It's got 5 there and 5 down the right hand side, look. So not a lot. But of course, if there's a red picture, if there's a fire, then those lights turn reddy orange. If you're looking at a blue sea, then the lights turn blue. The idea is it tricks the brain into thinking it's a bigger picture. And I think it works really well. And again, but it's like the most unique thing that's ever happened to a TV in the last 10 years, these Ambilights. But do Philips shout about it? No. Do they promote it much? No. So their designs are great. I'm just going to plug this in and see what's going on like. There we go. May have to switch the lights back on now. Bear with me a second. Right. We are switched on. That's the other thing about Philips. You never know when their damn TVs are on. I think this one is technically in standby at the moment, and I think when it's out of standby, I do believe this little Philips thing here will light up. I think that's the plan, so I'm going to switch it on. Oh well. Well, I don't know if you saw that, but we did get a flash of Philips on the screen. So where's the standby light then? We're not even getting a standby light. So I'm going to switch off and switch on, just to see if you see that Philips thing come on again. Are you ready? Switching it on. Yeah, just there. It's very faint. You may have seen it, I don't know. So it is backlights. And because I'm keeping, I don't know why I'm keeping this TV. I'm keeping this TV because it's got a nice design to it. Well, we've got to fix it first. We're not always guaranteed to fix it. I've got a funny feeling that this screen is going to be... It could be glued down. It could be glued down, sister. Ooh. Might be a challenge. We like a challenge. So my plan will be to just tart it up tonight. So if there's 2 or 3 backlights out, just replace them and get it working. We'll look at the price of a brand new set of backlights, and we will, notice that we, hey, we'll buy some, and then I'll fit a brand new set in when it goes wrong. It may not go wrong for years, but I'll get one in stock. But let's strip it down and see what it's made of, and see if this screen is... Vote now. What do you think? Screen glued down? Bearing in mind the design of this? Could be a tricky one. I paid £20 for this TV. It's not a smart TV, which ages it a little bit, but the design is so good. I've got a Now TV stick I'm going to stick in this. I don't know what I'm going to do with the darn TV. I've got nowhere to stick it, but anyway, always planning ahead. Shut that door. Right, most of the screws are out. I don't know why. I've been really looking forward to working on this TV, and I had a quick look on eBay to see what the backlights could possibly be, and they look like LGs. But I can't think of a time when Philips ever had LG screens inside, because Philips kind of use Chinese brand TVs. But taking the back off, and then, oh, well, that was too late. I was going to say, and ensuring that the amber light LED plug is not pulled out, and I've pulled it out, but I don't think it's caused any damage. Oh my word, would you look at that? Well, you possibly can't. It's an LG screen. It's an LG 470 done. So these are just standard 3-volt backlights. I can't ever remember working on a 47 done. I've worked on a 47 Jews, loads of them, but it'll have the same backlights as a 47 Jews, I'm sure. Just got the Philips board in, including a separate inverter board. Now, there's a little inverter chip, which you can't see. Be interesting to find out which leg is the error command. We could just take that off and it would light up. But I'm more than happy to buy a set of backlights for this. They will be very cheap. But I've got to get into it first. That's just the back that's off. You may not be able to see, or maybe you can see, it's still got a plastic surround. And I'm going to have to be very careful here, because again, we saw how the screen was precariously, well, no, I'm going to say beautifully laid into the center. So I'm going to take some screws out. Just let me have a bit more of a play with this, because I've got to be very careful with this one. I don't want to start pulling bits of plastic off and sliding it to one side without checking what it's going to do to the screen first. Words of wisdom from not a very wise man. This is turning into be one of my favourite TVs to work on ever. And of course, it's quite an old TV. So there are some little screws just embedded in here around the sides of this thick back plastic rim around the screen. And once you've taken those out, it simply just lifts off. Can you see? And if I show you from the other angle, again being very careful with the screen, look how that just comes away. So you can see how flush I was talking about earlier it is with the screen. Hopefully you can see this. And just comes away. I really like this. Now, I say that side is coming away. I've taken all the screws out this side, but this side as yet is not coming away. We've got these extra things here, but it's not that. There is, I think it's because it's trapped underneath that. Ah, yes, okay. That was it. So it's underneath there. I like this. Look, a little subwoofer as well. Again, a Philips thing. A Philips design putting a subwoofer in. Oh, hang on a minute. Well, we've got one subwoofer and one tweeter speaker. I see. Actually, I don't, but that's what we've got. So a full-on speaker sub and then just one tweeter. Unless there's another tweeter underneath there. No. But just, you know, again, what I said earlier, just a little bit of thought that's gone into it. And so far, this is coming away quite nice. It really is. Really is proving to be a nice TV to work on. So can I just lift this out? Is that it? Off. Yes. I'm going to take the speakers out. Typical LG, of course, we've got all the screws around the side, and then we can remove that screen. There's still, don't forget, there still could be a chance that this screen is glued down. But I'm going to take these speakers away. Away with you. And again, just another little thing, not necessarily a Philips thing, I'm not trying to overdo them, but they're all just little speaker plugs and sockets, so it's easy just to disconnect. And put them somewhere safe. I think I'm okay to turn this over now. I wonder if this is the screen. I worked on an LG screen. Oh, actually, we haven't got the front off. There's going to be some screws down the side here. Still one each side. I've taken the middle one out. I wonder if this is the screen. There is an LG screen, which is a normal screen, but it's got built in, very hard to explain, it's got built into the screen little blops on the back, little pillops on the back that fit in, that make it sit in nicely. I wonder if this is the 47-inch. I've worked on a 55. If it is, as soon as I show it to you, you'll know what a pillop is. Incidentally, I'm allowed to make words up as I go along. Thank you. I love this TV. Maybe because it's just something different. Maybe just because it's something a little bit different now. And because it's something a little bit different, I'm trying to take it away with extra care. Just clips out. It does. And there is a very little, look at that ribbon cable that goes to the Philips logo there. Doesn't look like they want me to take it away from that side, so I'll try and take it away from the screen itself, from the back of the panel. If I can, and I can, but I think it's connected to the T-con, so I'm going to have to take this T-con cover off. So this will be a very easy screen to do a short-term repair tonight, but I will order a set of backlights for this. There we go. So to get to the bit that powers up the logo, which didn't come on, but it could be disabled in the menu. I've just got to unplug that from there. And then we're down to the screen, and I don't think the screen is glued down. Famous last words. But this is, well, it's off now, as you probably heard. Okay. And then it's a case of removing the top and bottom frame. I think this has got the nodules in at the top. That's the word, nodules. Let me remove the rest of the screws from around the side, and we'll see if I'm right. I'm never right. I don't think it's glued down, is it? It looks fairly flexible. Right. So I'm going to be lifting it up, moving it to the right gently, just making sure there's plenty of space. The tabs are out. It should be a doddle to lift up, he says. That's a curse. Check out the nodules on the top, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Let me show. Yeah, you can see them there. In fact, ooh, that's not coming out. So maybe there are some screws at the top. Didn't think about that. I've done the sides. I haven't done the top. There's going to be some screws, isn't there, holding those nodules in. Egypt. For some reason, I'm sure this is classed as one of LG's premier screens. I don't know why. It's definitely a great builder. I think it's a great build. I just love the way this is done. Right, so taking those screws out means that this... Oh, I should take them all out, I suppose. Sorry, I've left one just here. So that should just fall out. Fall out. And that is left. Do you see the nodules built into the screen? There. You'll see it in a second. You're probably not even bothered. But if you've watched this channel for a long time and you haven't seen the nodules in these LG screens, I think they're great. I've only ever seen LG do this. Right, now, yes, now the screen comes away. And I can put that there. There we go. And that's what I was talking about. Nodules. Don't know how focused that is. Built into the top of the screen. There's loads of them. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 10. And those nodules fit into there. This is a great design. The reason it's been designed this way is when the metal clamps around the side are screwed back in, it clamps the screw down, the screen down, and it holds it in place because there's nowhere else. The screen, as we've noticed, is so flush around the edges, you know, a millimetre of a bezel, if that. Anyway. Glad I've been able to show you that if you've never seen that before. And there we have just the usual LG 47-inch screen. And if I bring the other camera in, hang on a second. On the mobile camera it's looking a bit blue compared to the top bit. But you'll also recognise one of the biggest common faults with certain LG panels and screens and backlights, and this looks like one of them, is the burn up. And that could be the only reason why this panel is not working. So I need to go through these with an LED tester. Now, of course, normally I share this with you, but currently there is some sort of electrical fault with my, well, I don't know what it is, but whenever I test the LED lights with my LED tester, the picture freezes. But I did set up, where did I put it? Oh, with squeaky voice then. I did set up another LED tester. I did. I've got another LED tester. I thought it was over here. Can you see it? Maybe I thought about. Oh no, it's there, look. I told you it was here somewhere. It's down here. So why don't I plug this one in and see if it continues to cause problems. Right, I've set this up so you can see the voltage is going to be used, not the current on this one, but the voltage. There is a chance that in a second the picture will change. That will indicate that it did freeze up the cameras. But at the moment we've got 24.6, as you can see on the bottom row, and they're all lit up. Let's try the next row, which is, oh, this is not the row with the burnt in LED. Again, we've got 24.7. They're all lit up. Was the other one 24.7? I thought it was 26. 24.6. Okay, so 24.6, 24.7. This is going to be faulty. Obviously, it might not do anything. Oh, well, it's flickering. No, they're coming on. Oh, look at that. And it wants 48 volts. Obviously, that burnt out one is taking some current. 24.7. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? 24.7, and the top one, is that going to be 24.7 as well, and all lit up? Sorry, the dog's barking. 24.8. So the faulty one is that one that is burnt out. And we didn't freeze, did we? Have we frozen the picture? No, we didn't. We're on. Okay, so it's something to do with my old backlight tester. Aha. So I've just brought in my box of, you can probably see written on it somewhere, LNs, because this screen is an LN. And I need an L1. Now, I've got this L1 here, which you can see, or maybe you can't. When matched up to the original, is obviously from a different screen, because it's slightly smaller, but it's got more backlights. I mean, I could use that in emergency. I could just put it over the top to keep me going. Just leave it like that. So this one is an L1, probably from a 42 inch, I would think. But in my LN box, I have found an LN 47 inch, which is this one, and that looks pretty identical to me. Don't you think? So it looks like, even though it's a different screen, excuse the dog, the LN backlights, well, if I'm going to put it in, it is a brand new one, so I'll take this one out and I'll order a brand new set. A brand new set for these will be cheap. I'd imagine £12, if that. We'll have a look in a second. They do look slightly different, but replacement ones always do. That should now get this screen up and running, but I suppose we'd better test it, hadn't we? switching it on, and they're all on, and they're off, and they're flickering a bit. Okay, but that means the backlights are now working, and they've come up to full speed. This is the strip that we've replaced, that one there. Do they look any different on camera? I think they do. Yeah, it's just the design of the LEDs make it look slightly different. But that means if I now start to reassemble this TV, including that, we should have the Philips one working in just a second. Right, I've positioned the camera so maybe you can see the nodules. Going into the screen bezel. In fact, I would say I've got to be very careful with this then. I think that should be it. Maybe. Are they in? Yes. And now, of course, we need to lock them into place with this. Apologies once again. I probably apologised about 5 times because I'm forgetting. But if the sound quality, well, the sound quality will be different, but it may even be better for some people. I'm just using the microphone that's built into the cameras as my dongle for the lapel mic has just vanished. I don't know how it can vanish. One of those men tidy up things. Tidied up today, something's got to go missing. Right, so that screw has now locked the screen in. I don't exactly know how it does it, but it locks the screen in. Comments below. How can 4 screws lock the screen in place? I'm sure I'll realise in the middle of the night. But I also suppose that this does the same, because, you know, as we've pointed out, this is the panel with no bezel. It's got to stop the screen from falling out somehow. Which one's the screw hole? There. Now, to me, this is going to sound a bit silly, but this is the perfect screen. It's the perfect setup. You know, it's got the thinnest of bezels. You can't get any thinner. This is a 5-year-old. This is 5-year-old technology we're looking at here. And yet, they would have discontinued this screen about 4 years ago and moved on to something else. This would have been the perfect design of screen, from a 32-inch to a 65-inch. All the screws back in for those people that are interested in the model number 47PFH5209-88. I can quite honestly say, even though we started off by saying that Philips is such a mediocre brand, but this it's such a well-designed TV, and that's a nice panel to work on, and the backlight's very cheap. But anyway, it's all back, it's working. Well, hang on a minute, I said it's all back. We better plug it in and see if it works. Turning this on for the first time. Oh, I do see a standby light now. We've got a Philips logo, which is always a good thing. Have we got batteries in this remote control? Of course not. It says it's on HDMI 2. I want it to be on HDMI 1. I also want to be able to turn the backlights down. So sources first. No remote control action. I did plug the sensor back in. I did. I'm going to have to test if the remote control is working.
The Crucible at the World Championship. Different if you're playing in early rounds of other tournaments, but on the big stage where it matters, how much belief does he actually have of beating the greatest player that's ever played again?
Yep, here comes Ronnie.
Well, the remote control seems to be selective. If I press this button here, you can probably see the red light flashing on it. Can you? Possibly just next to the Philips bit, which proves that it's getting the signal for that. What if I press the home button? Get nothing there. Oh, I can mute. But I can't do the volume, so I'm going to have to get a new remote control, but in the meantime I must turn the volume down because it's quite late at night. Switch the fucking thing off. It takes fucking ages to come back on. Lot of faffing about, but I think we will now be getting a picture. There we go.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Should also see the ambi lights behind, but it's quite bright behind because of all the other TVs that are on. So I'm going to make it as dark as possible. I'm keeping my eye on the although that one's come back on. This is like a comedy of errors tonight, it really is.
Looks like Stephen can get his hand on the table.
I'm just aware of the TV being precariously positioned. Right.
Played it confidently. Can he run on and get the right side of blue? Not quite.
Of course, it depends how the backlights are set. They should be quite blue now, yes, and then they go back to being green and red. So you can possibly see that. dodgy remote.
Two different ways of playing this shot.
Some buttons are working, some buttons aren't.
Needs this cue ball to bounce. I think the right closest to the cue ball does go to the right corner.
6.
Oh, now the volume button is working, but only up
Quite well that shot. Didn't want to get too much left hand side on the cue ball there.
and not down.
Yeah, it was a great effort. Just a little bit short of pace.
So,
I would have loved to have seen in the menu if I can change the backlights or what setting they're on, but that may be difficult. Okay, I've just realised this video's been going on for over 40 minutes. I've had shorter marriages. So we'll bring it to a close. It is working, it's a nice TV. Just looking at the price of a new set of backlights from AliExpress, and they're dirt cheap. Look, free postage, under 10 quid, little bit of tax, so I reckon 12 quid I'll have a set sent to me, and I'll see how long they last, because I'm going to keep this TV for something. I don't know what, but for something I will. Thanks very much for watching. Sorry it was a long one. See you next time.